Welcome to the podcast Running Toward. This podcast tells stories of ordinary people who couldn't look away once they saw the hidden crisis in foster care and the families impacted. Our guests share heartbreak that led them to take reluctant and unexpected small, faithful steps toward the most vulnerable in their communities. Not because they had a plan, and not because they felt ready, but because they couldn't unsee their pain. You'll hear how people living normal lives discover that getting closer changed them. Their comfort mattered less, their grip on uncertainty faded, and their faith got feet in quiet, everyday ways. Ending the crisis for one or for all isn't a quick fix. It's a long, slow, often messy journey alongside one of the most overlooked and misunderstood groups in our community. Running Toward gives you a front row seat to the hidden crisis in foster care and the families impacted, and to the ordinary people who choose not to look away. Welcome back to the Running Toward podcast. Today, we have somebody who's been on this Alliance journey with me since day one almost, and now serves on our board, but also has their own personal journey of, and as a child, seeing foster care at a young age, and then as an adult, welcoming it into her home through kinship. So I'm excited to have Melody here today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, first question is a softball question. Tell me about your family right now. So what does a normal Monday look like for your family?
It can look a lot of different ways. My kids are both graduated from high school now, and so I'm not running kids to school anymore and doing pickups and all the sports and all the crazy. And so it's definitely been a shift in the last couple months. And so Mondays or Wednesdays or any day of the week are a little bit more about, I get to set my schedule today. And then navigating life with adult children, as you know, is a whole nother ballgame.
They don't prepare you for that at all.
No. So those curveballs, come from time to time, and we're enjoying each other. It's fun to get to see them hang out together these days, and to hang out with Juliet, their aunt/sister, and
cool. So let's flashback way back. So growing up, how did foster care enter your life? Or not really necessarily formal foster care, but just that idea of taking in kids into your home unexpectedly.
Unexpectedly. Yeah, I was completely unaware that even existed, or that something like that would need to exist. And my mom asked me when I was 14 what I thought of bringing a baby sister into our home, one that would be placed as a foster placement and adopted. And I was 14 and I loved kids. Yeah. I thought that sounded like a great idea.
A living doll.
I was going to have all kinds of fun.
Yeah.
And it was fun. Yeah. But I had no idea how life was going to change.
Yeah, for sure. So how did that feel as a 14-year-old to go from probably a somewhat calm house of just, teenager, everything's clean, things are put away where they're supposed to be, to then welcoming a child that you didn't even know existed before that moment?
Yeah, it was definitely a shift. I had a stepsister who was in the middle of the two of us, and then I'm 14 years older than my baby sister, and she had some medical needs that we didn't fully understand, I don't think, at the beginning. But those medical needs meant that my mom quit her job as a secretary so she could start home daycare, because there wasn't going to be a daycare that would accept her at that point in time. And so our home went just physically through changes, right? Making a space into a place for daycare, and a bunch of other kids running around, and what does this mean? And I enjoyed that, a lot of that. We actually still keep up with some of those families.
Yeah.
But those medical needs had an impact.
Yeah.
And it really caused me to have to shift a little bit more into like a second mom role. versus a sister.
Yeah.
I held down the fort while she was hospitalized for 2 months. Early on, I tag teamed with my mom while she cooked dinner. I gave my baby sister a bath and learned how to deal with an ileostomy and learned how to put an NG tube in. I don't even know if they let you do those at home anymore.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Definitely
but
not 14-year-olds.
back then, they taught a high schooler how to do it. I did want to be a doctor at that point in life and was at Health Careers. So her doctors took an interest in me, and I don't know why they taught a teenager how to do that, but I could probably do it to this day.
Yeah. Life skills, new skills.
Yeah.
So what did you learn in that season of, I don't know how much you want to go into like why your sister ended up in your family, but what did you learn in that season of like what family does when somebody's struggling?
Yeah. I think it was a second iteration of what we had done not many years before when my stepsister came to live with us. And her mom struggled with addiction, and she had spent time in foster care, came to live with us. And so that already, the peaceful household had long gone at that point, right? Because there were definitely some challenges. And then it was her half-sister, actually, her mom's baby that needed care. And no one in the family wanted to take her because they were scared of her medical issues. And so that's what I saw is my mom saying, there's a baby that nobody can take care of.
Right.
But I think we can.
Yeah.
And it's right for her to be here with her half-sister.
Yeah.
And so she welcomed another woman's baby into
Yeah, it's because she had no biological connection to this little girl.
None at all.
No expectation, no. Just a kid that would have gone into a foster care system who barely finds babies homes that are healthy, much less ones that have medical needs.
Right. She spent a lot of the first year of her life in the hospital, and then with two different foster families. One was a single mom with quite a handful of kids with different disabilities. And she, from what I was told and what I can see, was amazing, but
too much.
That's a heavy load.
Yeah. Growing up, 2 kids, and then there's a tragedy in the family that shifts things again.
Yeah.
So talk through that only because it's going to lead up to kind of plays into the story later down the line.
Right. So the other thing that none of us could have ever known, that bringing a little one into our family would mean, was that I actually did become mom at a point, because our mom was killed in a car accident when I was 21 and the little one was 7. And so I came back home and became mom and tried to walk beside my stepsister, who was working on graduating from high school at that point.
She was, much an adult.
17. And so did my best to support her and became mom, really, to my little sister. And that definitely changed everything about where I thought I was headed in life and where I saw my future. But that it's family. That's what you do.
Already seen that modeled.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so muddling through being a young adult who's still growing into raising herself on some level. You've lost your mom, and now you're trying to fill a role that, you weren't expecting to be filling at 21 to step into taking care of kids. So how did that play into kind of where you alluded to it a little bit about where you saw kind of where your future was headed and what was the path?
Yeah, I think before my mom died, I really did feel a clear call to this space. Once my eyes were open to it and I saw what was out there and that there were children right here in our community and in communities across the country, my heart was forever captured. And so I knew that wherever my journey was going to take me, that was going to be a part of it.
Yeah.
I thought I might be a foster parent directly, right?
Yeah.
But, life changed a bit,
Yeah.
and that's not exactly what happened, right?
Right.
But, yeah, it's something that I think at this point I get to re-wrestle with now
Right.
that my kids are grown, and I can step back and go, well, what do I want to do? And
Right.
I did have some dreams and some goals and some things that I thought were going to be my pathway back then, and what might that look like now, right?
Yeah.
But I moved back home,
Yeah.
which I didn't see myself doing,
Yeah.
right? And then I became, well, not soccer mom, because my sister figure skated competitively. And so I became rink mom.
Wow.
That was fun. Yeah. So we were at the rink, 5-6 days a week, and I was sitting there with all the other moms, right?
Yeah.
And it was a little bizarre.
Yeah.
I think there were definitely some moments where I thought, what am I doing here?
Yeah. One thing is different from all the others. They're like, wait, 21 minus 7.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. No, oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
and I got some interesting looks and stares, and, because I was just barely old enough where it could have been possible, maybe,
But also, you're like,
not so much.
Yeah. So we'll fast forward a little bit. So you take on raising your, walking alongside one sister that's old enough, and then taking on raising another one. And then kind of how does all that play out into you getting married, having biological kids? Like, give us the Cliff Notes version of that kind of middle season.
Yeah. So like I said, I felt that calling to the space, and I was really clear when I got married that that's something I saw for my family.
Yeah.
I was interested in having my own children biologically, but I couldn't keep walking through life knowing that other kids were out there that needed a safe space for a little while, for a long while, forever, and not be a part of that.
Yeah.
Right. And so I had my 2 babies, and then we started walking down the path of becoming foster parents, taking the classes and doing all the things. And then my then husband decided to go a different direction.
Right.
And I was a single mom all of a sudden. And that was definitely a curveball that I didn't expect, and one that really put in question, what was I supposed to do now in this space?
Right.
Because I was going to be barely keeping it together.
Right.
Raising 2 little ones on my own, who were 2 and 4 at the time. Right.
Yeah.
And so it caused a shift. Right. I had, along that journey, we had worked on starting a ministry at our church, because we saw that gap, of the church being the community that could absolutely step into this space and alongside families, but it not happening, or not happening consistently or well, right?
Right.
And so I got to walk alongside in little ways, right, along some amazing people that started building that with you, and then more life pivots began.
Yeah. So you're single momming, and I don't exactly remember how it all happened, if it was a phone call or what, but your sister comes back into town, comes into San Antonio, and needs you again.
Yeah. So my sister had.
This is the little sister.
This is the middle sister. This is my stepsister. See, it's confusing, right? And they're my sisters. I don't see them any other way, right? Yeah. So, but the middle sister, my stepsister, had a little boy, and I got to meet him. She was here when she had him, and then she left and tried to make it work with. His dad came back and was just not in a great place.
Yeah.
And the living situation she was considering was not safe, much less healthy.
Right.
And again, that's my family.
Right.
And that's my 2-year-old nephew.
Yeah.
needs to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
And so I moved them in with us.
Yeah, both of them.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Moved both
Mom
of
and
them
son.
in with us, and tried to figure out how to balance that, and what my sister need, having come from a really hard place herself.
Yeah.
And not having near along enough with our mom, and needing that healthy model
Yeah.
of what being a parent, being a mom looked like. And so we embarked on that adventure, and it wasn't too long after that
And then you go on vacation.
the story changed.
Yeah.
My kids and I were gone for just a few days, and I came back to an empty house that had some concerning things left behind,
Mm-hmm.
and no sister and no nephew.
Yeah.
And couldn't figure out what happened.
Right.
And it was actually at Life Group the next day when I got a call from my sister who was in jail.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a shock.
Right.
And learned that my nephew had been taken to the children's shelter.
Yeah.
And had to figure out what to do at that point.
Yeah, because it's not like the state had called you to say, hey,
No.
we have your nephew, because
No.
I don't know how they would have known the connection even to call. But
Right.
when, this kind of plays out in foster care, when a mom goes to jail, especially if there's no dad in the picture, then Child Protective Services steps in. Obviously, they ask mom, like, hey, do you know anybody that could take your kid? Sometimes they're in a state where they can answer that. Sometimes they're not, or
Right.
they're not they think they're going to get out, and so they don't want to say anything or whatever.
Yep.
But either way, sometimes there's no family identified, and so then kids can go straight to a foster family if there's one available, or they go into a shelter where they can stay for 90 days. And in that 90 days, the system is supposed to be looking for family that they can go to. And so that's kind of sets the scene for where you get thrust into this story of, oh, so my sister's in jail. Don't know how long she's going to be there, or how that plays out. But my nephew's at a shelter, so how can I get him out?
Yeah. So they did end up releasing her on bond. So she wasn't there too long, but I had to wait till Monday morning to call. This kind of happened early in the weekend and then over the course of the weekend. And so I had to wait till Monday morning to call the children's shelter to figure out what was going on and if I could come pick him up. And so I found myself sitting at the children's shelter where years before I might have imagined myself being there by choice to pick up a foster child, maybe, right? And I found myself sitting there being told that the only way I could take him is if I signed on the dotted line to a safety plan, which I had no idea what that was.
Yeah.
I knew about foster care.
Right.
Knew about kinship placements. Didn't know about safety plans.
Right.
But I had to agree that I would care for him and that I would never let him be alone with my sister.
Right. Who had previously been living with you.
Right.
And so you had to say, all right, yeah, I'll commit to that if that's the way I get him. And now, hey, sister.
Yeah.
This is the way it plays.
Yeah. They actually allowed for her to stay with us for a little while.
Yeah.
Hoping that together we could help her stabilize. And she had and part of the safety plan for her was a commitment to working her plan, right? Which I'm sure you're familiar with, but she had a list of classes she had to go to and counseling sessions she had to attend and group sessions she had to go to. And so she had that plan that she had to work in. And what I hoped would be the beginning of a healing journey for
Right.
her.
Right.
To her was just a list of boxes to check.
Right.
Unfortunately. And so that didn't end up working out very well. And she got the safety plan lifted.
Right.
Shocked at how easy that was.
Yeah.
And tried to depart with him, and that didn't go well.
Yeah.
And so that's when we transitioned from a safety plan to a kinship placement.
Yeah.
Because she was just no longer safe.
And
Unfortunately.
CPS had stepped back in and seen
So
that.
they stepped back in and removed him this time, and called me to come pick him up.
Yeah. We've talked about that in previous podcasts. I don't know how they'll play out number-wise, maybe the last one before this, but that tension of being able to hold, I'm going to protect this kid, and I also love you and hope you get it together. But I have to be able to hold both. Like, I can't.
Right.
I don't want anything to do with you, and I'm going to protect this kid, and you know, because that's not good for them. Neither is being a doormat and letting a person that's in an unhealthy season of their life be in a kid's life and causing trauma for that child. So it's that foster parent kinship, that tension of holding, I want what's best for mom, and I also have to protect this child that's in my home.
Yeah. It was really hard.
Yeah.
Really hard. Because I love.
And I think that's the unique thing. That's the unique piece about kinship care. Foster families don't already have that connection to biological mom or dad, but kinship families typically do. They were my sister. They were my mom. They were my daughter. They were my son. Like, they have that connection where they're like so desperately want them to be who they can see them to be, but also have to live in the reality of who they currently are.
Yeah. It was a hard tension to hold.
Yeah.
A really hard tension. And I wanted and still want what's best for my sister.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I was going to do what was best for my nephew.
Right.
Who couldn't make those choices for himself.
Right. He didn't have a voice. He wasn't old enough to have a voice.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So you get officially placed, and then there's months of that, and then eventually, how does that kind of play out? Because it also transitions into the next piece of the story.
Right. So it was a busy time, honestly, a blur.
Yeah.
Of what was all told a year-long journey. And I don't know how we got through it, but eventually my nephew's father was able to make arrangements. He was in the military, and being a single dad in the military is not really the easiest thing to do. Being a parent in the military is not easy to do, right? But it's just even more complicated when you're a single parent.
Right.
And so it became clear to him at a point that he had a choice to make.
Yeah.
And so he was able to make arrangements to come pick him up. And that was hard, because I was getting to a point where I thought this might be it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, my nephew might just be mine
forever.
And I was totally fine, totally fine with that. And my kids would have loved that. And the thought of letting go to somebody I didn't know very well was really hard to get my arms around.
Yeah. Was there any type of, we've talked about it on some little before, but a lot of times there's just like this, almost kids are treated as an Amazon package that just needs to go from this location to this location. And the system in general does not value that trauma that causes, even if that's the right place of where they need to be. It doesn't matter if this has been their world for 6-12 months, and then you go with no transition period, no like, hey, get to know them for an hour or for a day, know their snacks, know their routine, and this feels all normal, and then this kid gets to go here and it's just somebody else that loves me. And yes, there's a little bit of loss, but not as much as when you go whole new world, whole new schedule, whole new smells, sounds, routines, Did he get any type of transition?
Yeah, actually, the state was fairly uninvolved, honestly. And I mean, they were involved in that they knew what was going
Right.
on, and they were, everybody was signing off on things. But how that transition happened, they let us handle by that point.
Yeah.
I was talking regularly with his father.
Yeah.
We were coordinating,
Yeah.
And so he came to town for several days, and his mom joined him. So I got to meet his grandma and spend some time with her.
Yeah.
And that was neat and really special to know that she was going to be there for them too.
Yeah. There's another adult there.
It was really helpful, just for my own journey of letting go.
Right.
But he was really mindful of that it was a transition.
Right.
And he had spent little bits of time with his son along the way, but not great amounts of time. And so they didn't know each other well.
Yeah.
And so he spent some time with our family.
Yeah.
And just spending time together. And then they spent an afternoon together.
Yeah.
And then we actually had a goodbye party, a farewell party for him, for our life group and our church family and our daycare family. Our church had a daycare that had done an amazing job along that journey of taking care of all of us, of him, of my kids, of me even. And his daycare teachers were not going to have, not saying goodbye to him, right? And these are, really sweet college girls, right?
Yeah.
That became babysitters at points. And so we all got to be there to celebrate the next step for him and be able to say goodbye. And so in that way, that closure ish, right?
Right.
Life still goes on. He's still out there, but that helped.
Yeah, for sure. You talked about church family, and Ben mentioned before that we had began starting something at the church that we were both attending. So what did it mean to have a church that on some level at least understood this world of taking in people that you didn't give birth to, and the heart of having a system involved in your life, and then also transitioning and letting a kid move to the next place?
I don't know that I could have done it without my church family.
Yeah.
Really. It was really hard.
Yeah.
And I had been through so much on my own that I didn't get to stop and pause along that journey too often to work on my own healing along the way. Little bits, but not near as much as probably would have been best, right?
Right.
And it was just hard, right? So having our life group there that I could lean on, that would help share the load at times, and people that I knew understood.
Yeah, you don't have to explain yourself.
I didn't have to explain a thing. They just knew.
Yeah.
And the power of that, I think you don't realize until you're in a space where you're walking through something that is just, as much as you want to understand for somebody you care about, you can't understand.
Right.
Unless you've walked it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that is, I mean, it's in any aspect of life. Like you mentioned military, like having people that understand the military life, having people that understand, loss of parents at a young age, anything like that. Having a community where you don't even have to explain yourself. You don't have to catch everybody up. You don't have to get out the whiteboard to diagram all the family. Like just having people that get it. That's, part of why we do what we do with the Alliance, is because that's how we all survived that season, was that we all had each other to figure it all out together. And when you don't have that, I think that's when you find these foster families that flame out, in the first year, because everybody in their life already thinks they're crazy for doing it. And then when the hard comes, they're a lot of them are just like, well, we told you this was going to happen, or Best case scenario, they just don't even know what to do. And you're like, well, how can I help? Well, I don't even know how you just need people that are like, I'm just coming over. I'm just bringing the meal. I'm just organizing the room or whatever.
Right.
That's, speaks directly to why you have to have community in those type of situations.
It's critical.
Yeah.
It's critical. And it's why foster families struggle and burn out. It's why bio parents struggle.
Right.
And we land in these situations in the first place.
Yep.
Because they don't have the family and the community around them to support when they're struggling.
Yeah, I think it'll come out before this one with Jocelyn and Clarissa being on the bio family side of the house and talking about how much it meant to her to have the Wilsons be her community, because they didn't have, they had some family, but also having the Wilsons to walk alongside them too, who had been Mikey's family for 9 months, like having that's what we talked about in that one. It was like having everybody focused on what's the best for this kid and how can we love on this kid and put all of our own wants, desires, fears, control, all that on the side, and let's really focus on that. That's when the kids actually can heal and thrive and find their place.
Exactly.
So your nephew ends up with his dad.
Yeah.
You're done, right?
No.
So next chapter
couldn't ever be done. Not in this space. Next chapter is the alliance, really, that came not too couple years, I guess, down the road from that. But there was a space where I didn't know what it was supposed to look like. I didn't know where I was supposed to plug in with the limited bandwidth I had. Right. I was still a single mom of 2, and they were still younger, and navigating life. And so I didn't have a lot to give, and I thought I wasn't in a place where I could step in and be a foster parent at that point. I had to use whatever I had left to give for myself and my kids at that point. After a rough journey. And after some time, I got a call from you.
Yeah.
We had talked about what does it look like to take this beyond our church over the years. And I had dreamed about what that could look like on a broader scale.
Right.
And so you called and said, okay, you ready to do this?
Yeah.
I didn't have to think for a second. I knew I was all in. That was how I was gonna be in this space, serve in this space, and walk through the next phase.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, we obviously talk about the alliance a lot, and this is more of a podcast about stories, but that alliance was the gap that we saw of what we had at Grace Point and what we ultimately created for each other as we were all going through this, and then meeting other foster families who were on that island that we had been on before. We formed that, and seeing, okay, if we're actually ever going to get to a point where we can have enough families for the kids that are coming into care, the church has got to be engaged. They've got to be educated. And it wasn't that the church was like, no, we don't want to serve kids in foster care. It was that they didn't even know they existed, just like me, before I got into this space. So that's where the alliance, got to kind of fill that gap of like, hey, here's what's going on with these kids. The state's in charge of them. They don't know how to handle the church. You guys, don't know how to handle them. Like, we'll be that bridge in the middle of helping everybody talk and work together and get educated and put down the fear and the scare and the control and all the other things that go into the kid's still in the middle. Like, we still need to be adults for the kid that's in the middle. And that's what we got to, kind of build and create, and still is evolving to this day. But that also wasn't the end of your journey in your home, because then you have another sister that comes back and needs your house again.
Yeah. So my baby sister had been through a lot, struggling with having to need to be adopted in the first place, and all of the feelings and struggle
abandonment.
that
Yeah.
comes with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was only 7 when we lost our mom.
Yeah.
And my stepfather turned out to not be the safest
Mm-hmm.
place or person
Mm-hmm.
in our lives. And so she struggled a lot and landed in a place where she was ready to take some steps toward healing and into figuring out what this whole adulthood thing looks like. I know we've talked, I don't know how much we talked on the podcast about, but kids who experience that kind of trauma, their emotional, mental growth is stunted.
Yeah. We say that a lot when we talk to families, that kids have a chronological age.
Right.
They have an emotional age, and then they have a experiential age. And oftentimes those don't line up at all. And that's when chaos happens, because they're chronologically 20, but they're emotionally 12 and they're experientially 30. And that in that brain, that kid's, all of that is spinning and creating all the chaos in that child's life until they can get the help, the counseling, the maturity, like just growing up and being able to process all that and start getting it all to come into alignment. A lot of times they just flail and struggle.
Yep. Yeah. So that's really, that had been my journey for a while. I had one sister, and then I helped take care of another sister, and then my nephew, and then back to my baby sister. So she needed a safe place and a place where she could start to do the healing work that she needed to do. And so,
because otherwise
she came back home.
They walk through their trauma. It's just in really unhealthy ways and with often really unhealthy people.
Right.
And then hopefully, oftentimes at some point they hit a wall or a rock bottom or whatever you want to call it. And they're like, I don't want to, this is not what I saw for my life. This is not where I want to be.
Right.
And I remember that this person was the healthiest, most stable, most supportive, whatever. I need to get back there because I know that's what I need to be able to start processing all of this.
Right. Right. And that's what she had walked through. Her story is hers to share. So I'm not going to get into those details, but yeah, that's kind of where she landed. Yeah. And so I didn't have very long between those spaces. I feel like I've been taking care of in some form, supporting my sisters for 30 years. Yeah. Yeah. You've been parenting for way longer than most. So with all that and all the different experiences you've had, what are your thoughts about just from the outside looking in of the system as a whole and how it functions, doesn't function? Just kind of your view from multiple different angles. Well, I definitely got to see the part of the system that not all foster parents get to see. Right. I got to experience everything that comes before that point. Right. Right. And you don't realize, I didn't realize, like how traumatizing that part of the journey can be in and of itself. Before removal even happens. And the moves that the child may have already been making, right? And that definitely shocked me. I kind of knew that stuff happened. Right. But actually living that stuff. Yeah. And watching a child and holding a child through that. Yeah. And it also helps, like, understanding that for even when you're fostering and you take a kid into your home, we're like, oh, they've been removed. Okay, but also they may have couch surfed, they may have gone to grandma's, they may have gone to aunts, they may have like bounced back and forth. So of course they're terrified that you're going to leave them, they're going to get moved. Maybe I should just, come out guns blazing so that they'll move me faster and I don't have to get attached. And like all these, not that they're consciously thinking about any of these things, but their body is, and they're trying to protect themselves. Those are all the things that go into, like,
And that's the thing with foster family. You don't know. It's not like you get a manual of like, hey, here's all the things that this child has been through. You're like, oh no, we just can't go to that park. Or, I had a kid that I couldn't drop off at children's ministry because I don't know if it was the way the lady smelled, the way her voice sounded, the way she looked. I don't know. She lost her mind. Somebody else is there. She was fine. You just never, it's like it's every day's new. And you're like, oh, okay, well, just let me tuck that little piece of information away, and can't figure it out, but you just have to respond to it.
Right. Right. And it can be little things maybe that aren't so little, but when they removed my nephew, I went to pick him up. I went through his stuff and said, where's his inhaler? I knew he had asthma.
Yeah.
And he needed his inhaler. Like, he had to have it with him.
Yeah.
It was a really important thing. The caseworker didn't know or remember.
Right.
And so he would not have been removed with his inhaler if I wasn't there.
Right.
Calling it out.
Right.
But somebody like me is not usually there.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so how long would it have taken?
Yeah.
For
figure that out.
For somebody to figure out that he had asthma? Would it have taken an ER trip because he was really struggling to breathe, right?
Yeah.
Which is a whole nother trauma.
100% as an asthmatic myself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been there, right? So little things like that aren't so little.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned earlier, but like how easy it was for my sister to clear her safety plan.
Yeah.
Was shocking and scary.
Because you knew she still wasn't safe.
I knew yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was hard for me to admit that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And
do you feel like the bar has been too low, or maybe it varies case to case, but in general, let me rephrase that. How much support do people like your sister get for, other than this list that they're supposed to go to, attend, whatever, check. Okay, you got all that. And now what happens after this kid goes home? They're still supporting them. They're still helping them, right?
no.
Right.
Not at all. There's nothing.
Right.
There's absolutely nothing.
So you did a checklist, and we're going to send you home, and
good luck.
Good luck.
We'll see you when we get another call, because this is not going to go well.
Essentially, you're setting them up for failure.
The system absolutely sets biofamilies up for failure.
Yeah.
100%. The services that are available, even if a bio parent was in a place where they truly wanted to lean in and work on things and do whatever it took, it's just not enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the kind of support that they need.
Yeah.
And it's not the length of support that they need. When you're struggling with deep wounds,
mm-hmm.
and often with the generational cycle,
mm-hmm.
right, that you've inherited through no fault of your own, that takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And a lot of work to heal from.
Yep.
And a checklist isn't gonna put a dent in it.
No. Well, and that's what we've talked about even this year, is the alliance, is that transactional versus relationship. And the system is very transactional. Do this, do this, do this, do this. Talk to this counselor, but it's only while you're in the system and you're doing, and then once you get your kid back, well, we're done with counseling, and so even if they had built a relationship with anybody, it's gone. It ends when you transition out of the system or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the piece that the system does not understand, is that it's not the checklist that's going to keep a kid in a home. It's not the bed that they need. It's not the backpack. It's not what you name it, whatever transactional thing. That is not the thing that ultimately, yes, it helps them get over, meet some requirement, but that's not what's going to keep that kid in that home a year from now, 6 months from now, 5 years from now. I mean, the recidivism rate of children that have come into foster care within 5 years, 50% of them are back in the system. Why? Because those bio families didn't want to do the right thing? Probably not. Maybe some of them, but the majority of them probably busted their tails to get their stuff done. And then they got on the back end of having to live life on their own with nobody, with their unhealthy community, with their, unsupportive family, if not harmful family. And we couldn't do it.
Yep.
somebody got sick, they lost a job, the car broke down, because the only thing that actually changes is causes transformation is relationships. And the system cannot require, checkbox a relationship.
Nope.
That's where the church, the mentor, the cost advocate has to step in and be the relationship.
Right.
That goes the distance.
Right. It truly is the only thing that can make that lasting change. And when it happens and when it works, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I mean, we literally just saw it. I think it'll be the episode before this one. Watch Jocelyn and Clarissa, and you'll see what happens when people willingly go into messy relationships.
Yeah. Yep. It looks like my nephew who's thriving today. And I still keep in touch with him.
Yeah.
And it looks like my sister my baby sister who through many years of work and a long journey of her own is thriving today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Because she always had a place to come back to. She always had a person that she knew she could go flail about and live out in all the trauma that she had experienced, that was done to her. And she still had somebody who was rooting for her.
Right.
And that would be that safe place one of the kids that we had, they got adopted by somebody else and they struggled in their teen years. And he's like, I just always wanted them to know that my front door was always open. Yes, there was rules, because there's other kids in the home, but if you can be safe in this home, the door is always open. And if you want to go off and play around, and I was like, man, that is like such a picture of God in his relationship with us, of like, he's always there, like, the wave is coming, my hand is right here. Take my hand. I'm not going to grab you, but you can take my hand. The wave's coming, like, you're going to go get thrashed into the sand. And we can either choose to reach out and grab his hand and like hold on to him through whatever life deals with us, or we can be like, I got it, or hold on to some, poor, bad relationship or some, pride that we'll be able to stand up and take out this wave. And then we get thrown into the coral or into the sand and stand back up, and he's still there. He's not like, you're an idiot, and walks off.
Right.
He's still there. And that's the picture of that's the model that we're supposed to be. Not that we're enabling and chasing and grabbing and holding on and when they're, fighting about, but we're just like, whenever you're ready, like, I'm here.
Yep. Yeah. And I couldn't have been that person for them if I didn't have my church family.
Right. Yeah. Because everybody needs that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody has to have those relationships. And that's the thing that I think in this season of our world is one of the hardest things to fight for, because what they want you to have a relationship with is this thing.
Yes.
They've gotten our attention, like the attention economies, that's already a done deal. Yep. Now with AI, it's a relationship economy, and they're trying to get your relationship. And they've done a pretty good job of it, but that's the fight, is to fight for relationships, because ultimately that's the only thing that changes.
Yep.
It's the only thing that causes a transformation.
Yep.
You've been taking, like you said, you've been taking care of kids, people, young adults, whatever, all the things for 30 years. What has that cost you, and what has that blessed you with?
It has cost a lot over the years. When I stop and think about it and start to add it all up, it's a bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because life didn't go how I thought it would go.
Right.
And I didn't get to finish my college journey as a college student, just living life and or travel or
right,
all the things I thought I would do, and really having to come to terms with that,
grieve it,
and then grieve it, and relationships that have been lost. My stepsister, after everything, chose to cut off relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I still grieve that.
Yeah.
That was hard. There was a lot of hurt.
Yeah.
with how everything played out. But like you said, at the end of the day, she's my sister.
Yeah. And the
And
story's
I love
not
her.
done being written.
Exactly. And so that definitely was a cost. I think there have been directions I took with career and with life in general that were dictated
For
by.
sure. Yeah, I mean, like you said, when you got your nephew, you had to buy a new car.
Yes.
The first piece didn't fit.
Yes. Yeah. I had a little
You
Toyota Corolla.
You
And
became the minivan mom.
I tried to squish those car seats in there. I did. They would not fit. I could not close the door. And so, yeah, I had to go buy the minivan.
Yeah.
And figure that out really quick and figure daycare out really quick.
Yeah.
And so there were definitely just moments in time, right, where there was a direct, tangible impact. I think for me personally, it's that I just kept having one thing come after another, and so I didn't understand how important it was to prioritize taking care of myself.
Yeah. That's
owing that
it's
journey.
a thread that needs to be pulled in the foster care space because caregivers are the worst
Yes.
at taking care of themselves, which we've been talking a ton about on our team. Of like, unless you think you are more important or more capable than the creator of the universe who worked for 6 days and then took one off, you're going to take a day off. And so we've just made that a rule for our team. Like, you got to, and we hold them accountable for it. And Sabbath there's a reason you do Sabbath and the reason that you have solitude and silence because you were just not going to make it. And some people have to learn the lessons the hard way.
I had to learn some lessons the hard way for sure. And it catches up with you.
Yep.
And so
your physical body will only go so far. And then the Lord will be like, and if you're not going to choose rest.
Right. He'll choose it for you.
Your body is going to force you to rest.
Yes. We'll make that happen one way or another. So there's definitely been those kinds of costs that I've had to deal with. The blessings and the beauty have been the gift of actually being able to be the cycle breaker.
Yeah.
I fought hard.
Yeah.
And long.
Yeah.
To do that. And if you're a cycle breaker, you understand how incredibly hard that is and the toll it takes on you. And I wouldn't change it.
That's that line I've heard. It said it ran in my family until it ran into me.
Yeah. I don't remember making a single conscious decision. I just knew that it goes no further than me.
Right. Yeah.
It stops here.
Yeah.
And my foot was down before I even knew I was putting it down.
Right. Yeah. And not in a way that like you can actually control the outcome. Because like you said, you have one sister who's thriving, who's processed, who is doing her thing. And then you have another sister who is still stuck in her trauma and has, chosen not to have a relationship. And that it doesn't mean because you put your, 10 toes down that everything's going to work out. And that's not ultimately, that's not ultimately in our control. And it's not a weight that we're meant to carry. But there is a choice that you get to make of like, as much as it depends on me, I'm going to make the choices that I can to end what ran through my family with me.
Right.
But everybody else has to participate too.
Everybody's got to do their part for sure. But for those who were too young to be able to make a choice like that.
Yeah.
To be able to step in.
Yeah.
On their behalf.
Yeah.
is something that was equally incredibly hard and equally and incredibly amazing.
Yeah.
And beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll kind of land the plane here, maybe one more, but what have you learned about God through your whole journey? And I'm sure, hopefully, be honest, there have been seasons of lament where you've just been pissed that this is happening to you again, or still, or, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But what have you learned an honesty with the Lord? Have you learned an ability to not tie everything up in a pretty bow and Jesus juke it? And, Jesus, he just, everything's great. Everything's, sometimes how Christians feel like they have to tie it up in a pretty bow and everything, even though God is not expecting, Jesus is not listen, I've been down there. It's a hot mess. I'm not.
Right.
What have you?
Yeah. I think my story got to a point where there was no tying a bow on it. Right.
Yeah.
You just couldn't do it anymore. And I definitely learned more and more over time how okay it was to be honest with God and to yell at God and to cry.
Yeah.
There's a reason that the Book of Lamentations, that the Psalms of Lament are part of
the reason he chose to put them
Scripture.
In there. Yeah.
Right. And it's something that we, I think, especially the American church, likes to ignore or gloss over. But it's so important for us in our faith journey to lament, to walk through those things, to take those awful broken things to God and know that that's not the end.
Right.
Right. But I think that definitely is something that has been a thread throughout the way I trust him. Has grown a lot over the years, and how I grasp for control.
I don't understand that at all. No, can't relate at all.
Control what? No, just let it go, right? Yeah. No, I have to hold on to all of it, and we're not in control.
Yeah.
And that God loves me more than I can imagine. God loves my kids and my nephew and my sisters more than I ever could.
Yep.
And that it's okay to let go and let him love them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was not an easy lesson to learn.
Even when he's not taking your suggestions of how said situation should play out, even though it's very logical and well thought out and will be best for everyone.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean.
Because we know.
We know, right?
Yeah.
We have no idea.
None.
Zero. We have no idea. And we don't
want to get in the way of the story he's writing with them.
The bigger picture that he sees. And there are times where you think letting go and stepping out of the way is going to cause damage, and it's actually the thing that allows someone else to grow or to take their steps. And so getting to see that and live that has definitely been a huge impact.
And sometimes it's also the learning of, I've even did it in foster care, but then even translated this to my adult kids of you got to get out of the way. Sometimes you're the one who's getting in the way of actually them relying on the Lord, because you're trying to be all the things to everyone and fill all the roles and do all the things and keep them safe and, navigate their environment so that they don't feel pain or loss or whatever. And actually we're the ones that are keeping them from relying on the Lord, because we keep getting in the way. That's a super hard thing to learn, and a super hard thing to let go of. But I see the train coming, and God's like, I understand.
Right.
I also see the train coming, and I also have a plan, and you just have to sit there on the sidelines and pray. And I think that was foster care journey, also parenting young adults. Shout out to all the parents who are parenting young adults, but watching them flounder and get run over and get back up is, no, they don't talk about that in the What to Expect When You're Expecting book.
No, they do not.
But it is where they actually build their own relationship with the Lord. Just like you had to, with all the things you went through, all the things I had to grow up, like that was, it was forced.
Yeah. I think I had to learn pretty quickly when my kids were younger, when I had all three of them, that what did I want for them in life, right? Yes, I wanted them to be happy and safe and healthy right now, but I also want a whole lifetime of health and faith and growth. And if I shield them from the hard things now, when they're with me to watch me walk through it and point us all back to God,
and have you in their ear,
and to hear me praying over them, and to understand what that sounds like to talk to God when you don't know what to say,
right?
That not doing that with them and letting them experience some of that, maybe not all of the world's hurts,
throwing them to the wolves,
but as appropriate, right?
Yeah.
What they learn in those moments is something that they carry into adulthood.
Yeah.
And getting to see those little glimmers as they become adults is kind of cool. And and with my baby sister who's a good bit older, and now to see those pieces of the puzzle come together for her is kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else we didn't say that you want to say? We covered a lot.
We covered a whole lot. I think the only other thing I can think of is just how my heart changed for biofamilies. We touched about them in general a little bit, but I knew the person who hurt my sisters.
Yeah.
I knew who she was. I knew where she lived.
Right.
And I was angry at her for a very long time. And as I grew myself and just matured a bit, and came to understand a bit more of the story that got them all there, and that she had her own story, my heart definitely shifted. And she called me a few times after our mom had passed, and I remember picking up the phone, not knowing what the number was, and just answering, and it was her. And I thought I was about to get my ear chewed off, right? And and what I heard on the other end of the phone was a human being, somebody who had her own struggles. And she was calling to thank me for being there for them when she couldn't.
Yeah.
And that broke me.
Yeah.
And it forever changed the way I saw families walking through these hard times.
Yeah. You have to be willing to hear the story on the other side, because I have yet to encounter in my own journey and all the people that I've interviewed here where there wasn't a story behind the person who was the abuser.
Right.
And it was often because they were abused.
Exactly.
And they never got the help, and they never got the support, and they become that. And that's unfortunately what our society does a very poor job of, is walking through people and their hurt to help. Because the old adage is true, like hurt people. And
it's very true.
Circles back to the fact that relationship is the only thing that's going to end this thing. And they're long, and they're messy, and they're years of great, and they're years of horrible. And that's what we have to be willing to step into.
Yep. At the end of the day, every single one of us are created in the image of God.
Yeah. Yep. Very true. Well, Melody, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. And we are so grateful that you would spend time listening today. Please share this with a friend that maybe needs to hear it. Maybe a grandma who's raising her grandkids, or a sister who's raising her niece and nephew. Just pass this on to encourage somebody that they are not alone, and get in community if you're not. We'll see you next time.